Hello there, Eagles fans, and welcome back to our Eagles Therapy Podcast. I'm Basil.
And I'm Baz.
And we are coming at you Tuesday, November 12th, 2024. Coming at you quick this week, a little fast turnaround because we got this Thursday night game coming up. You know, it's funny, we always talk about it, Dad, the Thursday night game. It's a game you're happy that it exists because like during the week, you know, when it's not your team playing, and you get to Thursday, you're like, oh, nice Thursday night game. It's cool, you know.
Yeah.
But man, it really sucks when it's your team because you're like, oh, like it's a short week. Yeah. We got to travel a long way back to Philly from Texas. Yes. Like, you know, it doesn't, you know, it's not fair. But then you got to remember, you know, every other team has to do this at one point in the season. So it stinks, but, you know, you got to do it. You got to pay your dues to the league.
It's funny because this year we did play overseas, which normally that's your crap teams.
Yeah.
So we got that out of the way early, which was, you know, okay. We won, so that's good. But yeah, the Thursday night game is funny. It seemed like traditionally they were bad games. Last year they were better. You know, I think that was the big knock on them. You know, what do we have? Baltimore, Cincinnati last week.
Yeah,
it was
a great game,
really good.
Yeah.
So, and of course, this week's going to be a blowout. So,
we hope. We like to think. Yeah, we'll be playing Thursday night against the Commanders, 6:15 p.m. Got the Amazon Prime game. You got a weather game for me?
Yeah, it's going to be it's chilling up down there, up there in Philly now. It's going to be 50 degrees for a high, 39 for a low. We got a passing rain possible shower coming, so it's not going to be the greatest weather for a game. It's going to be a beautiful night, of course, and you know the Philly fans are going to be out there all day. So bring your raincoat with you, maybe bring a hat and change a pair of gloves or something. But yeah, 39 and rainy, that's not fun. So
no, definitely, especially against a good team. You know, we're not playing a slouch like last week. You know, a lot of people probably went into the game and thinking, oh, we're going to win. You know, and you got to be fearful because every team can win at any time, any given Sunday. But we all kind of had a feeling we were going to win handedly against the Cowboys. This week's a little bit different. You know, the Commanders. Pretty darn good team. I'll go into their stats in a second, but let's go with the all-time record. You know who leads?
Oh, I know. We've got to have the lead by
no.
All time.
All time, yes.
No, they probably have us close.
Yeah, Commanders lead 89, 84, and 5. So it is pretty close. Yeah. In the last 25 years, we lead 31 to 19.
Yeah.
So heavily winning that battle in the last 25 years. Hope to push for it again, you know, this season. Yeah. Look for a sweep. Really, this is a season that I feel like it could be our first time in a while, maybe going 6-0 in the division. And I know it's tough because you do have to play the Commanders later on, you know,
well, that's the one thing about the Commanders, and this is the one team I always tell you, they play us tough, records thrown out. Does not matter. Every year. I mean, there's hardly a time you'll see that we blew them out. You know, there was a time when we were bad and they were good and we beat them a few times. So, it's the one team that kind of, to me, is cringy.
It's funny because I looked up the past few matchups to kind of test that theory.
Right.
Because I feel like last year was the first time, or before the season, people started saying, oh, you know, the Commanders, they play the Eagles tough.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like, oh, okay, yeah. Like, you know, but it felt like they were really just going off of those last two games of last year.
Right.
And I kind of put that to the test. So last year we played them twice, of course.
But they stunk. They stunk.
Yeah, they were bad. They had a bad quarterback. They had the third quarterback and everything. But last year we kind of stunk. You know, like in reality, when you break it down, I know we think we were good, but we weren't. We weren't.
It was hit or miss,
But we weren't good. You know, it just we thought we were. We just weren't. But what I'll tell you right now. So last year we win both games.
Right.
The year before that they beat us in the towards the end of the season. They beat us. 32 to 21. That was the one where we lost our first game to them.
Right. Okay.
Super Bowl year.
Right.
Earlier that year,
that was the Monday night game.
Earlier that year we beat them 24 to 8. Before that, we beat them 20-16 the year before.
Even that 24-8 game, though, if I'm not mistaken, it was tight.
No, that was the win with Wentz. We sacked him 40 times.
Okay, it was 9 sacks, 10 sacks. Yeah, okay.
Not close.
I always bring that one up. I know I'm talking, but I know there was one game that we didn't. It was just close. Why is it close? They're playing this donkey quarterbacks
last year, and then in 21 they beat us to end the season. But that was when we sat all of our guys.
Right.
You remember
good move.
which was to get our better picks. So that one. And then, let's see, we beat them 27-17 that year. At one point, we beat them. We lost 20-14. That's when we sat our starters, or that was 20-6. That was the 20-16. We beat them 37-27. I got things popping up all over my computer for some reason. I don't know why. I can't even see scores anymore. I got this advertisement popping up here.
But yeah, there was a time when they were, playing a third, fourth string quarterback, and we still were struggling to beat these guys.
2019, we swept them. 2018, we swept them. 2017, we swept them. So, I understand the idea of like, oh, they play them tough, but it feel like it became a thing. Like last year, they were like, "Whoa!"
I'm going off probably earlier 2010s when
possibly, we did lose to them a couple times, and we lost to them 5 times straight at one point in 2014 to 15 to 16. Wow. We lost 5 times straight, but then since 2017, we swept them in 17, 18, swept them in 19, and one of those I'm pretty sure was a 24 to 0 to go to the playoffs. So it feels like that became a product of the last couple of years where they started going, oh, they play them tough, and it's like, well, let's calm down. But this year they will play us tough because they got a really good team over there. I got my player to watch is Quinyon Mitchell. I'm choosing him because we don't know about Slay. We're recording this on a Tuesday, so obviously we won't know injuries until almost game time. So we don't know about Slay. It might feel like this is a game where you sit him out because you feel comfortable with Rodgers. Maybe I'm not too sure.
He gets the long break too.
Exactly, but. To me, Quinyon is a big watch in this game because he'll be going up against Terry McLaurin, another great wide receiver who's in our division, along with Neighbors and CeeDee Lamb. He's a top receiver in the NFL, and he's been good against us in his past. So I'm looking to see Quinyon take on Terry McLaurin and shut him down.
Yeah, that's all they had last week in the game against Pittsburgh was him. If you look at the rest of the statistics, their running backs ran for 3.2 yards. This guy ran for 6 yards. And then their wide receivers didn't have much except for him. McLaurin and Ertz had a pretty decent day, 30 yards or so.
Yeah.
And they're the 2 guys you really think you have to watch with them. But hopefully, like say, Quinyon. My guy is going to be I know I keep flip-flopping here, but I'm going with Goddard this week. Last week I went with Calcaterra. He didn't have a catch, but he was wide open in the end zone for a touchdown. Yeah. So that would have been really nice to get that because that still would keep those other teams guessing. I didn't want to see him go right back to Goddard all the time, but he had a good game, had a nice touchdown.
Definitely.
And I'm hoping, he's going to be part of it today, Thursday night.
Yeah.
Obviously they've got a pretty good defense who can get to the quarterback too. So we'll see what happens there. But they're a pretty stout defense. They're not fantastic against the pass, but they're pretty good against the run.
Yeah, so no, you're wrong there. You got to flip-flop there. They're actually really good against the pass. They're 5th.
Oh, that's right. You were telling me 28th.
Against the run, they're terrible. They're 28th. So I have my matchups here. On the offensive side, our run game is going to be the biggest matchup. So, they're 28th on defense against the run. They let up 142 a game. We're 2nd for the run on offense. We get 176 a game. So, no, run. The rushing
run for
that.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. We run that. Yeah.
Yes, their rushing defense is bad. It's 28th. It's really bad. We're top in the rushing. Next matchup on the offense side, I have the linebackers. Really their whole team, but especially their linebackers. They got Bobby Wagner on that team, of course. They also have in the back Dante Fowler as an end/outside linebacker, and Frankie Louvu, who had a really good career kind of with the Carolina Panthers. He was an undrafted free agent at one point and then kind of made a name for himself. The Eagles were thinking about he was big in rumors at one point trading with the Eagles last year.
That's funny.
We had such a bad linebacker core. It was like, we need to get someone.
It's funny how it seemed like Washington was doing a sell-off last year at the end of the season.
Yeah, it's funny. With their defense
season,
they got rid of Montez Sweat. But they still have a lot of other players. Daron Payne, former first-round pick. Dante Fowler, former first-round pick. They got Jeremy Chin, who was once really good with the Panthers as well. They have Marshawn Lattimore, who they just got, who's, we don't know if he's playing.
Right.
But, he was great in his career with the Saints. He is on the older side. He's gotten a little bit,
So what's their total defense rank?
Total defense in yards, they allow they're 13th. They allow 341.3. Yeah, they're almost mid of the pack, but their passing is good. They only allow 182 per game in passing. It's their rushing. You got to run on this team. Okay. We need to run all over them.
That's funny how last week Dallas was bad on the rush.
Yep.
But they kind of stopped us for a little bit.
That's what we always talk about. You always go into the game. I remember I always talk about you go into a lot of games where that this team's the best against the run, or the worst against the run, and this team's the best running, or they're top 5 of each, or bottom 5, whatever. And then that team can't run against that team.
Game's a total flip-flop.
And you're like, whoa, that's crazy. Well, it's because all week they're going, we got to stop the run. Yeah. So that is another thing that I think Dallas did last week. Their heavy thing was we need to run the ball. Yeah. They ran the ball. They ran the ball well against us, and we couldn't run the ball early. Then towards the end of the game, it was they gave up and we just destroyed them because they're terrible and they
suck.
suck.
For 250 if we wanted.
Oh, absolutely.
I think we finished at 187 on the ground. But, again, Barkley didn't get that many carries, which is great for this week. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Guys got the rest, which was also another big thing for this week's game.
Yeah. Another big offense. My last offensive matchup I have against them for us is A.J. Brown. So I know A.J. Brown is a matchup every single game he plays because he's just amazing. But in his last 2 games against Washington, I'll break him down. In 2023, so the last 2 of last year, 9 receptions for 175 yards and 2 touchdowns. In the second game last year, he had 8 receptions for 130 yards and 2 touchdowns. So in his career against Washington, he's only played him 4 times both the last 2 years with the Eagles. He averages 5.8 receptions a game, 99.3 yards, and 1.3 touchdowns, over a touchdown a game. He's got 397 yards in 4 games and 5 touchdowns against
That's
him.
not too bad.
So this is a guy that, he last year was, remember he kind of showboated and cost us some yards, but he destroyed, I think it was Emmanuel Forbes last year. And now they got that St. Juste who's up at cornerback, who's also not very good, an undrafted player, I think.
Right.
So, this is a team that we can, get A.J. Brown going against them. I know they're good against the pass, but I think if you use A.J. Brown the right way, we can get it going.
Yeah, and hopefully we can throw the ball again like we did last week to 8 different guys. Keep it mixed up like that. Don't go too heavy with one person. Obviously, AJ, you just can't not throw the ball to him. I mean, he had some great catches last week.
True.
Great throws last week. Hopefully we can get some of the other guys a little more involved, but, if he goes for 155, that's fine with me.
Yeah, absolutely. 3 matchups I have on the defense. So, number 1, their run game. They're very good on the run. They're 4th. I said we were 2nd. They're 4th with 153 a game. Now, the good news is they're bad against the run on defense. We're great against the run on defense. We're 5th. We only allow 100.7. So, this is a team that we got to stop the run against because you can't let Jayden Daniels scramble out.
That's the guy. That's why they have so many rushing yards, I'm sure.
Well, I was also going to say that they probably have one of the best 1-2 punches at running back. They got Brian Robinson, who is questionable, but they got Brian Robinson and they got Austin Eckler. That's his first name, right? Austin Eckler.
Yeah,
sorry, I don't know. I'm thinking Ezekiel.
They didn't do much last week for sure.
No, they couldn't run very much last week, but this season the 2 of them together have been pretty good. Let me see. I have the full stats here. Rushing. Robinson, 101 attempts for 461. And then Austin Eckler, 63 attempts for 326. So one of them, between the 2 of them, 800, and then Daniels himself has 464.
Yeah.
And for each of them, Robinson 6 touchdowns, Daniels 4 touchdowns, Eckler 4 touchdowns, and McNichols, their other running back, 4 touchdowns as well. He's only had 38 attempts, so that's pretty crazy. But they run the ball really well, and this is a game you got to stop the run.
Yeah, because we can stop the run. We can, obviously Jayden Daniels is playing out of his mind right now.
Absolutely.
And if we can put it on his shoulders, make the lights a little too bright for him, have that Philly crowd making some noise. Yeah. I don't know how many primetime games he's played in so far as in the pros, but if they can rattle him a little bit and knock him off his feet, this is the game. But you got to contain him, you got to keep him in the pocket, and hopefully our defensive backs continue to play tight coverage like they've been. Maybe get a pick or 2 early, knock him off his block, and then just take the game over. That's really what I'm looking to see.
So they played one primetime game. They played a Monday night game. That was against the Bengals, and that was really his come to the NFL game.
Right.
He had been playing well before that, but that Bengals game was really when it became the big, on on Tuesday, the day after the game, all the media was, whoa, this guy's, whoa.
I remember that.
And he's really good. He's got 2,100 yards this season, 9 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Not sure about his fumbles. He's gotten sacked 20 times, which it's actually not much through.
It's not really.
Through 10 games. They're 7-3
game. Yeah.
That's not much at all. So, he can use his feet, and they kind of got an offensive line there, but that's only 3 fumbles. I don't know how many of those are lost.
Right, but to put the pressure on him in the game, shut down the run early, make them have to pass it, and hopefully, they haven't seen the defensive the backs like we have this year. Yeah, hopefully we can get the ball out of his hands, get the ball from their team, and kind of rattle them. That's what I'm looking for. Because I watched the game, the Pittsburgh game, and he was playing pretty good, but he was getting rattled too. You could tell they were coming at him pretty good.
See, only 2 turnovers this year, along with the 9 passing touchdowns and the 4 rushing. So 13 total touchdowns, only 2 turnovers. None of his fumbles are lost. So it's pretty darn good. He's had a good season, man. And rushing yards per game. He's getting, let's see. Oop, I dropped it. Whoops, I dropped it again. Yeah, 46.4 a game. Robinson's got 65, and Eckler's got 36, but he gets 5.2 a carry.
When they quarterback runs and gets some yards, that kind of rattles the whole defense. So you got to keep them contained.
Yeah. The next big matchup I have, so we already talked about Terry McLaurin and Quinyon Mitchell kind of, but also I point out Zach Ertz, of course, is on this team. Zach Ertz, okay season. He's on pace for, I think, probably his best season since being with Philly. Okay. 37 catches, 381 yards, only one touchdown.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, 38 yards. I know.
It's the same in Philly.
Yeah, 38 yards a game, only 3 drops. He always had some of the best hands.
Yeah, we were always surprised he didn't score more touchdowns with us. I mean, it always bothered me, and I know it bothered you, because you got to score touchdowns if you want to be an elite tight end or get the Pro Bowls.
Yeah, it's kind of known.
I mean, we knew how valuable he was for us, and it's great that he's still playing. That's wonderful, but hopefully we can shut him down as well.
So the year after the year we traded him, he played in 11 games with the Cardinals and had 574 yards, 3 touchdowns. So we're over the halfway point. He's got 381 and 1. So he's on his way for more yards. So yeah, it would be his best season since 2019. Since the 2019 season. That's insane.
A long time ago.
When he had 916 yards and 6 touchdowns. Yeah, he never had a season with more than 8 touchdowns with us. He had 2 seasons back-to-back with 8, so that was pretty darn good. But yeah, he was never a big touchdown guy.
Especially when, in those games with Wentz, he'd throw to him 10 and 12, and I'd be like, stop throwing, find somebody else.
Yeah. Ertz always, it's funny, he never felt like a red zone target like he should have been. We always make jokes about it that Ertz isn't even really a tight end. We always just say he's a wide receiver, because he's not much of a blocker. He couldn't block very well, so hopefully the defensive ends can get around him. But the big thing about him, he almost never drops a pass.
Yeah, I remember one touchdown he scored that was pretty important.
Yeah, I remember that too.
It was pretty amazing.
Fourth quarter of the only Super Bowl we've ever won. So
that was amazing.
Pretty cool. But yeah, he'll be coming back, and he'll be facing some linebackers who have been red hot recently. Nakobe Dean, and I should have said Zach Bond's name first because he's been unbelievable. But both of them have. But Zach Bond is on another level right now.
Yeah, he's been graded out the top linebacker in the NFL for the last 3 weeks in a row now.
Really, 3?
90 plus each
wow.
game. Yeah,
I saw week 8 and week 9. I didn't know week 10.
It was week 10 as well.
Wow, that's awesome.
10 wasn't as high as I think one of them was like a 92.3.
Yeah, I know.
Still over 90 though. So. The last 3 weeks.
That's incredible. Making a name for himself. Need to sign this dude. Need to sign him to an extension. Or a contract of extension of some sort. But okay, let's get into injuries. So there's really not much to go on here because we don't really know yet. It's Tuesday night. There could be a lot of things that change. Right now, everything that was listed today was really projected things or estimates because they didn't really practice. They took a day off today. So estimation was Nakobe Dean not participating, Goddard not participating, Slay and Smith not participating, with full participation of Bryce Huff. And it seems like Jordan Mailata, they did open his window. So he's back. I don't think he'll be back for this game.
That's funny. What I saw when I was watching a few of the shows, they said he will be playing. So
no, it's cool.
I'm like you. I mean, Freddie's been great.
Yeah, I'm just on the sense of like,
play it kit cautious.
Yeah, if you don't, it's a short week. Yeah. You could get a whole other week and a half for him if he doesn't have to play. Right. And Fred Johnson, I would dress Mailata, but I might not play him.
Yeah, Freddie's
unless it's needed. Unless you get to in your second quarter and you're like, okay, we got to get him out.
The other big news was Huff. He was only played 10 steps. Well, he's got a big cast on his hand with only his 4 fingers, and he still ended up getting a sack. Fumble.
With one hand, yeah.
So they were saying the one thing about it was Jaylex Hunt was getting a lot of snaps.
Yeah, I saw him, yeah.
Good for that.
He had a great batted ball.
Yeah, he knocked one down. Should have been picked from what I saw. But yeah, he's definitely, still playing good. He's got a sack, but the reason he's not been playing is because of the big cast on his hand. They asked Vic Fangio about it, and he goes, they said, why has he got a big, he must have hurt his hand. So
wrist,
he just played it down like,
Big thing for the Commanders. They, questionable list is questionable is Brian Robinson, who did get a little banged up last week. So we'll see there. And then the really big one, Marshawn Lattimore, he didn't play against the Steelers and, might not be playing against us, which would be nice. You do want to beat a team always at 100%. We always talk about that.
Take this one.
But yeah, right. But it'd be nice to not have to really worry about him right now. Yeah. In the end, we already played against him. And we won,
right?
Yeah, and I like my odds with AJ because we lost to the Saints back in 22 when we had to play Gardner Minshew. It was frustrating.
Right. And, that game was that injury game.
Yes, but in that game, AJ Brown had a had a 92-yarder, 80 something. He had a 75-yarder.
Right.
He had a big one over Lattimore. Right. So I'll take my chances with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith over any cornerback duo or single in the NFL. So, all right, let's go ahead and it's funny. I guess we're not really going to talk about the upcoming games this weekend because we're going to record again.
Yeah,
by the time before the next games are played. So we'll talk about that when we get there. But do you got anything else to say on the game?
Not really. It's a game that it's prime time. We're on our trajectory up. It would be nice to just take this game, put them a few games behind us in the division, and go from there. But it's also kind of a little mini bye for us as well. So
that's the nice thing.
It's nice that we're home. That's another good thing. We do go on the road for our next game, but we'd have a nice 10-day off. So, this is good. This is a good thing.
Yeah. Yep. Do you want to talk about the Cowboys at all?
No, I think everybody else
storm
kicked it down and all. But, yeah, what's your thinking on the curtains?
Mike, well, the curtains
for the Cowboys season, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, it's funny because we talked – if you listen to the podcast, we talked about it before the Cowboys game. I talked about, I hate going to the stadium, especially at 2:30 because the sun blazes through that stupid window. So I've said it for years. I don't understand. I said it when I was a kid. I was like, what? I don't get this. What is happening? I don't understand. Why would you, if you're going to protect against the elements, protect against the elements. Yeah. Don't protect against 10% of it. It just didn't make sense. But it's funny because during the game, I should say after the game, the media was saying, and then cost CD a touchdown. And I'm like, it cost us a couple things there too because Hurts, every time he got sacked, it was when we were going into the sun. It was when he was getting destroyed.
About the CD non-touchdown.
Yeah.
I could never see the ball in the throw, and I've seen that play about 10 times. So I don't know if it was – I think it was behind him. So I really couldn't see.
He could have caught it. He would have
made a move on it because I could never see the ball. And
CeeDee Lamb would have caught that ball if he saw it. I 100%.
I saw it so many times. I kept going, where's the ball? I don't see the ball.
Yeah.
But, it's funny because we did talk about on the post game of the Dallas game when Cooper DeJean was out there for a punt, and he had to move all the way to the left side to get out of the sun.
See the sun. Yeah, I see the ball.
It's not just the sun. It's not like it's the sun where you could put a hat. It's the shading of the light and the fingerprints on the window. It's awful.
It's horrible.
It makes the sun look 10 times bigger. It's just really bad.
Yeah, it's bad.
So it's not just the sun in your eyes.
It frustrated me because the whole focus was on, CeeDee Lamb didn't catch the touchdown, Jerry, yada, yada. And I'm like, I saw Hurts get sacked 5 times, and 4 of those were when we were straight up in the sun. And I said it. I said it during the game. I told you after the game. I was like, yes, you watch this play. The moment anytime we were going away from the sun, we either scored or we threw that interception in the end zone. So that's fair. The sun wasn't in any effect there.
In my eyes.
After we scored our first touchdown going away from the sun, that was the first quarter, we drove down away from the sun, not into the sun's eyes, away from it, and then he threw that interception. Okay. Then after that, we're going into the sun in the second quarter, and we couldn't do anything. We couldn't do anything until at the end of the second quarter, we're making our final drive. We're almost in the full length of the sun, beam of the sun, and he hits AJ for that deep 19-yarder. Then we were completely out of the sun. We went down and scored. So I'm not.
It's just silly.
They
should fix it. Any other team. You're not going to get that because the stadium is built up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't have this big shade. Yeah,
it's one of the stupidest designs in the NFL. I've said it. I hate it.
Give it up, Jerry. He keeps fighting it. Everyone on him, and he's the only one that's still fighting it. It's ridiculous.
The next thing I was going to actually really talk about, though, was the Micah Parsons stuff. So you saw the comments he made.
Gosh, yeah.
And it's most of media has defended him in his first portion where he said, Mike can leave and go coach anywhere.
Right.
I feel bad for Zach Martin, yada, yada, yada. And I understood that part because it was like, oh, yeah, he's not really saying, well, Mike can leave. He's saying, no, Mike is a coach. He can go coach anywhere. Like, his career's not over.
But
Martin's career's over.
But
when he said put more hours than Mike McCarthy ever did, I was like,
that was a knock, man. Yeah. I know the guy wants out of Dallas, and he wants to play for the green, but it's not going to happen.
Here's the thing about I don't know if it is intentional. I don't know if it is because to me it seems like with Micah, and there's probably not many Cowboys fans watching, and if you are, you probably agree. Micah, I don't think he just knows what he's saying sometimes.
Right.
And I know the big thing about him that people bash him is the podcast, And I don't like it. I don't like that Slay went on it and talked bad about his player, and I still am upset with Slay, and he never really apologized for it.
Tongue in cheek kind of play.
Yeah,
But
so for me, the whole thing with the Micah podcast is, I remember when he first started doing it, I was like, this is just weird. And I know it's a part of the new generation of players who they want to talk about everything, and it really comes from, I'm a big fan of LeBron James. A lot of people aren't, and it's because the people who told him to shut up and dribble and stuff like that. There's a lot of players born from that who are like, well, I should be able to give my opinion on everything because I play the game, and I completely agree with that. But we do have to remember that LeBron James, when he started talking about stuff and getting political or getting whatever, it was when he was 35, 36, been playing a long time. He started, whereas Micah, when he says his things about football, you have to remember Micah's younger than me. Right. You know what I mean? And Micah knows more. I'm not going to, Micah knows more about football than I ever will. I completely. But he talks like he's a veteran. He said it on his podcast at one point a while ago. He's like, "Oh yeah, I've been around this league for 4 years. I've seen it all." And a lot of former players were like, "I played for 15 years. You haven't seen anything yet. Like, what do you?" So I feel like
the playoff game first, buddy.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know what it is, but they're just.
Yeah. Well, what he said, in my opinion, that was a total slap to the coach. Yeah. I don't see how you can see it any other way. Sure, you can obscure things and you can say, well, he's my guy, he's on my team. But, man, if that was one of my players, I'd be pissed at him.
Absolutely.
Now, obviously, I don't think McCarthy has much more time to coach the Cowboys. I don't know if he's going to finish out the season. God, hopefully they sign him to a 10-year extension. That's in my opinion. But, I mean, I thought he's been an awful play caller. I thought he's been an awful coach, but that's just me. But to say what he said, it's unexcusable. Yeah. And if somebody said that about Sirianni, I'd want him on the bench for 2 weeks. I don't care if it's the best player you got. You can't have that cancer in the line.
We can say that about Nick.
Yeah,
players can.
No way.
No way. But, yeah, it's funny. People, we know Eagles fans, especially us, we make a lot of jokes about, Micah, he wants to play for the Eagles. He's a Sixers fan. He's a big Phillies fan. He went to Penn State. He was an Eagles fan. You know it. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's no way you're that big of a Sixers and Phillies fan if you're not an Eagles fan. So, he's an Eagles fan or was. So it is kind of funny because, we make a lot of jokes about, he wants to be in Philly. But realistically, I don't want him in Philly. And as a player, he's just a great player, But man, he's not good on the mic. He's not good on the microphone. He says bad things that you're like,
can't do that.
What are you doing? Like,
you can't say that about your coach. You just can't.
That's just a lapse.
That's
cancer. Try to defend it and everything. And
no. Apologies. They can't. It's already been done.
It's great. Sometimes it's just amazing.
Yeah, it is. It's nice. Jerry will defend him too.
Yeah, man, I'll talk to my friend Tevin about it, the Cowboys fan, because I wonder what his take is. But it'd be like, at some point, you think, like, Jerry Jones needs to go to Mike and be like, dude, you're done with the podcast. Like, it's got to stop.
You need to back on the field.
You're making it. It's just making it so much worse.
Player.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not going to take that away from him at all. He's a great top 5 defensive player in the league, and probably will be one of the best defensive players ever when he retires. All right. Other sports, not much to talk on. The Sixers are 2 and
playing now.
They were 2-7. They're now 2-8.
Okay.
Not much good going on there. Paul George did score 29 points tonight, so that's cool. But, not much going on there, and they're going to really need to make up a lot of ground when Embiid comes back. If he comes back at all, we'll see. And then nothing else on the middle ones, but Penn State, they took down Washington 35-0 on Saturday. We kept an eye on it. We were watching it, but it wasn't very interesting, so there wasn't much to watch. But then they play Purdue this weekend, so
Purdue got nailed.
Ohio
State 45-0.
Last 3 games of the season: Purdue, Minnesota, Maryland. You have a good feeling they're going to finish up what that would make them 10-1.
Yeah.
What are they right now?
7-1.
I can't believe I'm asking this. Sorry. I think so too. Yeah. Let me see. God. 7-2. I clicked on ASU. My gosh.
ASU 7-2.
8-1 right now. So they could end up 11-1.
Yeah.
And you feel pretty. They're going to be in the championship or in the not the championship. They're going to be in the playoff. College playoff. But we'll see if they're able to do anything in there. I don't.
You never know.
It's all about getting in.
Yeah.
But it'd be cool to get in and maybe win a game. We'll see who we would play. But there's not much to go off of except for we're 11-1. That's kind of it. But all right, you got anything else, my friend?
No, but that's a good year for Penn State.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. All right, well, you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. If you like our Eagles Therapy podcast, do us a favor, rate and subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Comment down below if you're watching on YouTube, and like and subscribe. You can email us your questions at oureaglestherapy@gmail.com. But other than that, from all of us here at Our Eagles Therapy Podcast, I'm Basil.
And I'm Baz.
Go Birds.
And fly, Eagles, fly.